security for the new age, zero trust security. And for this, I would like to invite on stage Elavarasu A K, who is the CISO for Mphasis. Giving a brief introduction, currently he is the global CISO and for an IT service company with more than 24 plus years of IT experience, with 22 years in cyber information security. This includes a mix of internal and consulting experience across various domains of cybersecurity. With this, please welcome him with a huge round of applause.
Coming. Still not. Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to talk about a little bit of zero trust and how do you take care of new age security. Work from home. I guess we are all trying to go back to office. You know how difficult it is. You know, people are really reluctant to come to the office. If I go and ask somebody, they will say, you know, it's good that I'm still working for your company, right? We are trying to bring people back to the office, but that's not happening. And I guess this will be the new normal. And it is going to be hybrid work and hybrid cloud, everything. And so the edge, right? The edge has really disappeared long back. It is even cliche to talk about that now, right? And how do you take care of the work from home security? You know, because during the pandemic peak time, I have to meet a lot of CISOs of our clients to convince them to allow work from home, because they're all reluctant to allow it, and we were all reluctant to go to the office. And so we have to reach out to every CISO and then tell them about the measures, what we were taking, and convince them. Most of them agreed, maybe some still did not agree, but we continued. Today, the situation has turned so much. You know, the MPLS links are going away, and the clients are asking, okay, when do we go to the new normal, right? And so work from home is going to continue. How do you make sure you take security, take care of security? That's where zero trust comes in. These are different perspectives on zero trust. Every day someone approaches me with, this is what you should buy to apply zero trust in your organization. It would be a point solution for some particular problem, or it could be a platform, addressing few solutions, but there is no one, solution for, zero trust. And the perspectives really changes with the people. It's like the people touching the elephant who has never seen an elephant in their life, right? Visualizing what it is. What is zero trust? If you see at a high level, it is only a philosophy and also a state of nirvana or zen. It is not a solution, project, or a destination also, right? Just a philosophy and state. And also it is not about just technological solutions. If you're saying, I'm implementing zero trust, it has to be driven to the culture of the organization. Whether you're doing threat modeling, risk assessment, defining a policy, or defining a process or control, culture, culture is also very important in a zero trust perspective. Everybody needs to start thinking about in that line, right? Training and awareness. How do you train the people, assuming we have zero trust on the packets? Zero trust doesn't mean that we don't trust people. I guess they say no, we don't trust the packets, but we can trust the people. This is a work from home security, right from the endpoint. This is more depicted more from the endpoint side. I guess you all can relate to what we are showing here. And I will briefly explain. This is more, tuned to the practical side of it, how we are doing work from home security to convince our global clients, right? At the bottom layer, you have a hardened image and full disk encryption, and you have the usual suspects, the endpoint agents. My CIO was asking, you have so many agents, right? I'm already putting i7 for all the laptops. Why are you asking more and more, right? And maybe the solution is to go for, solutions which can bring multiple functions together, right? So the endpoints, apart from the usual suspects, you can see something on NAC, which is still required, because people who are selling 𝗕𝗐𝗎 will say NAC is absolute, but it is not. And when the same person, he wants to come to the office once in a week, right? How do we make sure that network access is taken care? That is a NAC solution still there. Remote monitoring, this is the most interesting aspect, because if we have taken all the logical controls, into account, then what is left is physical security. Because if you are having a banking account and the person is processing a credit card information, and sitting at home, he can take pictures, he can take anything, he can write a notes, because at the office we put them in a cage, like how China does COVID management, right? We put them in a cage and we manage everything. We don't allow them to carry phones inside, do everything whatever we want. But now it is all free for all. So remote monitoring is, though I don't really recommend this, from a privacy point of view, but still it is required because some clients insist. Remote monitoring is nothing but a proctoring solution, which will take care, if a person opens a mobile phone in front of your laptop, right? It actually signals there is a alert, and it is not going to prevent him from taking a picture, but there is an alert will be there, and there is a team again. The SOC team gets more work, along with the other work. You monitor those alerts and take care of those activities. And then coming to the next layer, identity, I guess, domain authentication. The one major point I missed, the endpoint agents. For every agent out there, you need to move the servers to the cloud, because it is not going to help, because you cannot depend on your employees to connect to VPN and download something, because during the initial days of pandemic, we were really finding it difficult to go and convince employees to log into the VPN, because everything was coming from on-premises, and it was so difficult to make them, connect to the network through VPN. And that's where Zero Trust comes in. So you assume people don't connect to, the VPN, and you need to move all the servers to the cloud so that you have patches happening, and you have EDR. It can be managed from remote, and all the activities which can be done from the remote side. Identity, MFA, privilege access management, that is for managing admin access, which is given to developers, and labs is for administrators. Machine identity, when you have multiple factors to look out for when you go for a authentication mechanism, and you need to have some machine identity. It could be as simple as your certificate. DLP, I guess you have seen a DLP at the endpoint level, but you need to also start having DLP for your web traffic, because most of people don't do this because they trust the endpoint. A DLP will take care of that. But I guess that's where Zero Trust comes in. You assume, for example, if Chrome is getting updated often, and your DLP misses that update, and then it fails to capture the file transfer, that is where your web traffic DLP will help. You need to have SSL decryption and have the DLP monitored, and then email DLP. This is a world one, and Office 365 DLP. All the 3 DLP solutions along with the endpoint DLP also. The next layer is the SASE layer. SASE, normally people talk about web gateway for URL filtering, and CASB and 𝗕𝗐𝗎. Along with that, you have email security and browser isolation. This is also people go for nowadays. A lot of clients started asking for browser isolation, but we've not really gone for. But I guess this is going to come in a big way, right? Finally, the governance part. This is where the policy enforcement comes. When it comes to Zero Trust, you have the policy enforcement and the policy, and which is going to make a big difference for you. So this can come from different solutions which are already listed here, whether it is URL filtering or your CASB and other DLP solutions. Apart from that, your group policy also. So you need to enforce the policy across all the endpoints, wherever they are. And reporting, I mentioned you need to have visibility, because if they still rely on them connecting to VPN, it is not going to help. And endpoint EDR response, because there are many occasions where we need to take care of disabling the network port from remote. And also some of the people who have left the company without any notice or something, you should be ready to do remote wiping also. And then remote monitoring server, that is to tie up with the endpoint agent remote monitoring. I talked about proctoring service. Well, ZTNA, how much time more? 2 minutes, okay. I'm going to make the record. I guess previous person said he was the fastest one. I'm going to make the record now. ZTNA, I guess we talked about the major 3 ones. And data-centric protection, this is where the zero trust comes in a big picture here. Because without bothering about network controls, assuming you have every control in place and you have an authorized user, taking the data out, how do you really control that? You need to move the policies towards data-centric. This is taken from 𝗕𝗲𝗍, reference architecture, where you need to start encrypting everything there. Whether it is a database, your full disk, and your email, using DRM, and also attribute-based access control. That is also a major aspect. Tagging of data, and then masking and tokenization. What RBI does nowadays, insisting on tokenization, so that the zero trust aspect is taken care when it comes to data security. Whether even if you're breached, the hacker, if he gets the data which is only encrypted completely, then the purpose is achieved, right? That is why we need to go for data-centric zero trust policies. Finally, it's a need of the hour today. It's nothing, in fact, zero trust is nothing but a security hygiene. It's a it's a fancy word today, but I guess in the coming years it will become a security hygiene. Everybody will start looking as a hygiene only. And it needs basics in place and getting the juice from every tool out there, whatever you are using. And finally, this is also not a destination. You need to have different phases, and I guess you have to keep continuing, identifying zero trust projects, because the goalpost has been, continuously moved always, and your controls need to go with that, right? Thank you. I guess hopefully done. Thank you. Yeah.